Where do you feel like you'd be right now if you hadn't joined the program initially?
I'd probably still be like having like maybe like two or like three songs in the past like 6 months, and instead I probably have created like 30 to 45 ideas in the past 6 months, just from.
Before starting industry set, what was the biggest problems you had?
I guess the problems I had was insecurity with my choices and my sound design and I guess with my direction on like where to go and like what to do. I guess that was like the main problems I had for sure.
And that was on in terms of like the actual production, right?
Yeah, just like on production and on the marketing side, which I haven't got there yet, but I'm gonna get there in the third semester. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for
And
that. But
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
and in the production part as well. Yeah, I was kind of lost, and I wasn't sure if the choices I was making were the right ones. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's very common, right? And
Mhm.
we'll definitely get over that in that next semester. And so considering we've done just the sound design semester and the production semester on quality and speed and getting the volume up, do you
Right.
feel like that uncertainty has been squashed, like just in your
Oh
production
yeah.
side?
Yeah, like 100%. I go now into the productions and I'm just way more confident and I know what I'm in there to do and I'm not like just like pressing buttons like randomly, like I know what to do now. Like I have a goal in mind and I get there. Like I could get the sounds in my head to come out now, right? Like the proper way. It was pretty cool.
Awesome. And what was the, I guess, rationale behind joining in the first place? Like, let's go all the way back to, how long has it been?
Right.
Maybe like
Maybe like what, like 6 months? Maybe?
4 or 5
Yeah,
months, or yeah,
or five
something like
months.
that. So going way back
Um,
then.
right. So I guess the main reason behind joining was to get like some kind of mentorship, right? Like some kind of like I guess you could say like coaching or like leadership. I wanted somebody that has the experience to be able to help me and to tell me if I'm doing things correctly or not, pretty much. I just wanted like a mentor, I guess, to help me out.
So
'Cause I know.
it was the reassurance like that what decisions you were making were the right ones.
Right. Yeah, because or and the feedback, the peer feedback, because I have nobody to like bounce my stuff off except for like friends that don't do music, So I wanted to get some feedback by other musicians and like producers and stuff. Yeah, so the teachers and whatnot.
Awesome. And do you feel like you're getting that? I know we're only halfway through, but of your time with us, but do you feel like you're getting that kind of reassurance now?
Yeah. I do think I am, in every class I've had with Neotek and with BrainWaves, they've answered all my questions and have been like real clear with it all. And yeah, and I mean they go like I think beyond to help me out and teach me stuff,
Hmm.
So yeah, it's been great, I think.
What part of it specifically have you loved the most out of the coaching?
Um um so like with Neotech, like when I would bring in my songs, and he would just like dive in and start like messing with them and like doing things to make them better. And it's just so fascinating to just like see him go and like dive in. And then at the end of it, like he would explain what he's doing. But I think it's super just fascinating and I learned a lot by just watching him go in there and like playing and like touching my tracks and all my songs throughout the week and he really takes his time to like if sometimes like, he'll get lost in it and I love to watch that because like when you get lost in it it like shows like your actual production, like you're just in it, and like learning and stuff, so it's cool. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I've seen some of those moments where he's just messing around with demonstrating a basic thing, and then he just goes all in on actually turning it into like a mini song, and he's
Yeah,
caught in the moment,
like
and it actually sounds fire, and it's like
it
you
sounds
never release
amazing,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually cool too, because I know the Neotech is more of like a bass guy, and I would bring him like some hard, like some like techno or hardstyle stuff, and he would mess with that and like create like his version of like techno or like hardstyle, and it was just so cool. It was like it
Yeah.
was just awesome. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was badass.
exactly. I think that's what it
Mhm.
really comes down to is having a good educator that it's just good at being an educator at the end of the day because it doesn't really
Right.
matter about like if somebody's a good educator, they're versatile in whatever genre it is. Like they're just good
Mhm.
at, showing how to implement whatever technique it is to whatever you're doing. So that's really
Right.
important to me as well. Was
Yeah.
there a specific moment in the last two semesters that really clicked for you? Was it in like the first semester or was it more the second semester?
Well, I for sure I think the second semester it was all clicking a lot more, but I think it's because I had to go through the first semester first.
Mm,
Um but one thing that I think helped the most that I wish that what we did on like the first class of our second semester
mm,
was for him to check out my DAW, like my template, to just see what I was doing off the bat, I think.
mm,
Because it wasn't until the last class, because he got like pretty curious and he asked me if he could see my template. I was like, yeah, sure. And then I think after he saw my template, he was able to kind of point out a couple more things
mm.
that I was doing like wrong. I was like, oh, that's totally right. And then after I fixed the template, like all my tracks are have been coming out a lot better, just a lot clearer, stronger, punchier and stuff. I was just like compressing too much on like my master stuff on my template. But I mean, it was like a small, just like quick thing, right? Just like him
Mm.
checking out my screen on like Zoom for like 10 seconds, to see my template. And but so that little small thing, but after that, I think that really cleaned up all my stuff. And it was a
You're
small little
absolutely
thing.
right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I recently added that to the second semester, and that
Okay.
at the end of the first semester, because I realized like, even if it's just a small look, I think it is definitely useful to point somebody in the better direction because they might just be doing like
Mhm.
one little thing wrong with like their signal flow or their structure. So
Right.
I think you've made a great point to maybe even have that earlier on at the start, just to make sure somebody's not doing anything completely bonkers wrong. So
Right.
that's definitely some good feedback to use for sure. So I appreciate that. And
Cool. Yeah.
so let's say walking back to the second semester, you were saying that things started to really click for you. Was it that moment when you looked at the project file? Or was it just from getting the reps in?
No. No, no, I think it was just the reps for sure. Just doing all the repetitions, and I think like the main thing that made me stronger in my production is the recreating tracks. The first couple weeks where I had to recreate the intros, the builds, the drops, and then the drops, and then the build, like that. I think really like cemented a bunch of skills into my tool belt for sure. Just recreating tracks that helps a lot. So I think the reps was a big like moment in my time here
That's
for
it. It's
sure.
the best. It's the best way to level up, hands down. And
Right? Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's all it really comes down to. Is like if you get the reps in, you start to see the recurring problems, and once you have the recurring problems and you remove it, it's like now you have that
Right.
assurance the rest of your career that when you go to make something new, you know that what those problems usually are to look out for them to make sure that you don't do them again. And
Right.
so then you can just be better at being creative, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Which I have found now that I mean back then I used to go into like the presets and like start with the preset and like now I start from scratch every time because I have that confidence now to just start from scratch and create a good sound. So
Hell
I
yeah.
feel it's like it I feel liberating, to be able to like express myself now. And so that's awesome.
And so where do you feel like you'd be right now if you hadn't joined the program initially?
I'd probably still be like having like maybe like two or like three songs in the past like 6 months, and instead I probably have created like 30 to 45 ideas in the past 6 months, just from um the homework and even besides the homework, I have so many ideas come to me now like after I'm done, and it's cool to be able to like, get them out in like a quick time, So that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome that you got the speed there because I think the biggest hindrance people have is they might just get really good production wise and then they just don't have the speed to execute on that. And I think before you even joined the program, you already had good production. Like it was like already
Mm,
80% there. You just had that missing 20%. So just
right.
finding it, and then also like the speed thing as well, and getting more volume out. So I think now that those things are there, and you have proof of concept that you can make a lot of good stuff consistently,
Mm,
that now that
mm,
when we go into the marketing phase next semester, that you won't have any of that hesitation of like, oh no, I've got to make more music. It's like, well, you don't really need to because you've already got so much like stockpile, but also
bunch of ideas. Right.
even if you
Hmm.
needed to, you could just bust it out. Because
Right.
where most people go wrong is, especially in a marketing standpoint, if they didn't have the speed initially, like let's say you had started marketing your stuff hardcore without looking at the speed, if let's say you've got like an EP out and a label rejects it, and you spent months, getting that EP ready, then that shit hurts, and you're like, well, what do I do now? Like that was like all my best shit, and nobody wants it, and it didn't perform well on
Right.
socials. So comparatively now, it's like if you can bust out like a full song start to finish, mix and mastered in like a day or two, and you get rejected, it's like what's a rejection to something that took you a day? It's nothing.
Right.
It's like who
Right.
cares?
Exactly.
Because you just make another song. So and that's
Yeah.
and that's why people who have the speed always excel in the industry because getting knocked back doesn't mean anything. It just means like a different direction. And so you can just
Right.
keep making more shit or you just market
Mm,
more shit. So
yeah.
yeah, that's why it's always been really important to me. And so
Cool. Yeah.
coming into the marketing side now, like now that we've gotten the production where it needs to be, quality wise and speed and what, how do you feel about the overall production now?
I think I'm like getting there. Like I said, I think the production wise, I'm very confident with it, and I think even mixing, I'm pretty confident. Or mastering, I'm pretty confident with it. It's
Hmm.
on the mixing side, I think I could get it a bit better, but how you said it comes down to like referencing, and I think if I just spend a bit more time on referencing the mix, I'll be able to put it at that professional level. So I think I'm there though. I have the production, I have the speed down. I just got to put a bit more time I think into the mixing, and I think I'm pretty much there with my
And
production.
sometimes it can also just come down to simplifying the actual mix and elements. Because what I've noticed, even on my own stuff, is that now I'm only putting max like two sounds at a time per drop, or maybe just even one sound at a time in the drop.
Oh,
Like
really? Okay.
just one synth that is the synth and the sub. Like the tracks that I
Yeah.
showed you before, it was just like one sound playing at a time, as opposed to
Okay.
a year ago, I would have like five or six different layers, just like overcomplicating the thing. And so it's
Right.
just so much easier to make something really loud and filled out when it's just one sound that
It's
is
less.
just
Yeah.
processed well enough, just applying the right amount of distortion and saturation and compressing the shit out of it, and you should have like a really full sound. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
but
Cool.
that's
I've
something we
noted.
can, maybe look at in the group calls over the next couple of months before we do the
Cool.
marketing. And one last question for you: if there was anyone that was watching this video that was contemplating joining Industry Set but were on the fence about joining, that had some uncertainty, what would you say to them based on your experience that you've had so far?
I would say that if they're ready to put in the time and the effort, then I think it's a great step. If they think that they're capable, because I think it's for sure tough if you think it's just gonna be like a magic pill, because it's not. Because you definitely have to put the work and show up every week. So if you think you could show up every week, then I say do it 100% because it's took me from here to like up here, in the span of like 4 months. So yeah, it's been great.
Hell yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've now just booked in our onboarding call for the next semester. So I've just put it in for 5 weeks from now. Are you cool if it was the same time as the one we've just done here? So it'd be on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Sunday at 7 p.m. for
Yeah,
me.
exact same time basically. So I've
Okay.
just updated it, and so 5 weeks from now, we'll just meet up in the same way we've done tonight, and we'll pick up where we left off, and we'll just review what's happened since then. So
Okay.
just make sure you work on those build ups into drops, get as many remixes going, maybe start working on the showcase mix, and if there's any references you find along the way as you're brain rotting on socials, just like save a bunch of videos that you think you would be comfortable in maybe redoing, and just
Uh-huh.
saving it to a playlist on Instagram, and then from there it will give us more time to focus on other things when we get to it.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
Sounds great,
Awesome,
man. I
man.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in 5
Likewise, man.
weeks.
Yeah, I'll see you in 5 weeks. Catch you,
All
brother.
right, brother.
See ya.